There's so much talk out in the universe or in the mainstream about twin flames, soulmates, karmics, this, that, and the other thing. And there's a lot of false information. There's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons. I'd say like 90% of the information out there about what a twin flame is actually written by non-twins. And so what I want to go through today is just a little fun visual representation of with myth busting about what people think the twin flame relationship is versus what it actually is. And that way you can decide for yourself, is this actually my twin flame or not? So let's just get started. So basically, what if you read all the blogs about running and chasing and separation and bubble love phase and all that, honestly, that's your red flag right there that the information is not accurate. It's not a really great way to representate, that's not a word. It's not a really good way to explain it. There's so much better information out there than that. So the people regurgitating those things are definitely not twin flames. Every time I watch any of their videos, my BS detector just goes right off. So let's talk about what people think it is, and then I'll tell you what my experience has been. I've been on this journey for almost 3 decades, and most of that was without the term twin flame. So yeah, I'll share that in a different video, why I think that's important to pay attention to. But let's get into this video. So what we're going through is like basically what people who read those blogs think is that this is somebody you meet who you have a relationship with, and then you break up, and it's a hard breakup for whatever reason, and then eventually you're going to get back together and you're going to be able to have the white picket fence, the retirement account, and the babies with this person. That is not what a twin flame relationship is. That's just a normal relationship. You can call it a soulmate, you can call it a karmic, I don't care what you call it. That's just a normal relationship. Every relationship, including your siblings, your parents, your coworker that you can't stand, everyone mirrors back to you your faults. Newsflash, if you don't like them, whatever you don't like about them, it's probably something you have within you. So that's everyone. Everyone does that. Everyone learns through relationships. Everyone dates somebody and it teaches you something. So that's not what a twin flame relationship is. A twin flame relationship is totally different than that. That's what every relationship is. So if you think, oh, I met this person, I love them, I see some synchronicities, some signs, I saw 11:11 once on the clock, and we're going to go and live happily ever after in this life as a married couple, good for you. Go do it. Knock yourself out, but that's not your twin flame. Okay? What a twin flame is different than that. Okay? So that is the old template. That is marriage and kids, which is a contract, a partnership to build a future together and to raise offspring. And newsflash, not a lot of that actually ends up too happy. I mean, look at the divorce rate, right? So a lot of people just don't choose correctly. We all have abandonment issues and we have childhood baggage to get over, and we bring that out in each other. That's a regular relationship. And it's actually pretty low vibration, honestly, if you think about it. What a twin flame is different. We want all that with our twin, which is why it's hard for people to tell the difference if they're not actually going through the twin flame journey. That's the carrot at the end of the stick for us. But those of us that are actually twin flames, we've had a very different experience on this planet. We've gone through those relationships too. We learn from them. You learn communication or you learn whatever with somebody, and then you grow apart and it's fine and you break up and eventually you get over that person. That's what a normal relationship is. Okay? So what a twin flame relationship is yes, you may or may not see signs before they come in or dream about them before you come in, but that's not always true. That's, again, people who are talking about stuff that they don't understand. You might not always see 11:11. That's a newer thing too that everybody talks about. A lot of people see 11:11 all the time, especially the more you know about it, you're just going to see it. So I wouldn't put too much stock in that kind of stuff. But what you will feel is immediately you will have an affinity for this person, more than just an attraction for them, more than just being like, oh, hey, who's that hottie in the corner? It's more than that. So, for example, when I met mine and we started hanging out, we had the distinct feeling and he said it to me, and I immediately agreed. He said that he was like, we must have been married or a brother and sister in a past life. And I was like, yep, I think so. But more importantly, people who didn't even know us came up to us and assumed we'd been together forever. And we had just started hanging out. We just met. And again, that can happen with a soulmate too. So don't confuse it with a twin flame relationship. That's not the only thing that makes me think that I'm a twin flame. Believe me, again, I've got 3 decades of this crap. So that's happened to me, in other ways, but the distinct feeling of that definitely was what it was. It was definitely like, this person's interesting. But what it really is then it gets back to, okay, yeah, you break up or whatever, just like other relationships, there, some reason why it doesn't work out. But then you have this grasping, and it's not the chasing stage is not a traditional chasing. Like, I never chased him in the way that it makes it sound with all the blogs. It's an energetic thing that I did. It was me not being able to move on properly. It was really because I was grappling with all the weird stuff that was happening. I was like, why are all this, I was having activations is what it was. I was having all the weird metaphysical, sci-fi, supernatural, 5D stuff was going on. And I was like, what in the world is happening? And at the time, I was very young. Again, this was 3 decades ago. So at the time, I just thought I was crazy, right? I mean, that was it. I basically dove into psychology, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I move on from this person? And I thought it was just I couldn't move on from anyone. Until I realized, no, I move on from people very quickly. It's just this one person. So it's an energetic grasping. It's the seeing that this is possible up here, this happy ever after, but it not happening, and being too focused on that other person, being too focused on what was quote unquote lost. That's the grasping. That's the chasing. That's that energetic obsession with this one person is going to make me happy. Right? That's what it feels like. But what that does is when you separate and you have a twin flame separation, it's more than just a breakup, like a normal relationship where you eventually heal those wounds. You eventually realize they weren't right for you. You eventually meet somebody else and it's fine. The difference with a twin flame is that, 15 years later, you still come back to that person. Any moment of meditation, any moment of sadness. I mean, like for me, if I would get really, really drunk, that's when I would stalk their social media. Once social media was existing, it didn't exist, thankfully, when I first was going through this. And it was a moment of my weakest points when I would do that. And I was very recognizing of that, that was what was happening. But day to day, I went about my life and I, built a career and all that kind of stuff. But anytime I had a moment of quiet time, that person, it was like kind of like when you have the hiccups and you can't control it, or you have a song stuck in your head. It's that. It's like, man, just they were the one that got away is the way I looked at it for a really long time while I was building my life. And what my life was doing when I was building my life, what I was doing is I was learning. I was learning with other people. I was learning with other relationships. I was battling myself. I was battling the feelings. I was hiding the fact that I love this person so much. I never told anybody. After a couple years, I realized nobody could relate to my experience. So I just learned to not talk about it with anyone because everyone else was having this kind of situation happening. They'd get married. They'd have kids. They date a lot of people. That wasn't for me. And it wasn't my experience. And so what I realized halfway through was that this was teaching me how to fight, how to learn, how to have a relationship, because I could never figure one out. I learned a lot, and I battled myself. A lot of it was like I learned fairly early on. I knew exactly what this person triggered in me, and I started healing the bigger things. So when you start your healing, you got to start with the low-hanging fruit, and I'll do those in other videos on how to heal yourself. And how to get into twin flame union with yourself. You have to get there first, which is why this YouTube channel is called Unification Inside. First, you have to merge your inner feminine, your inner masculine. You have to heal all these wounds. You have to get there first. Then you can think about all this other stuff. The problem with what we're all doing, everyone, is everyone's going after just this other person. And how do I manifest this person? Oh, great. I just heal my childhood wounds. No, it's not that simple. I mean, it is that simple, but you're still looking at this person as the reason and as the expectation and as the act. You're still focusing on this person. The less you focus on that person and more on yourself, really get there. That's the key to transforming yourself. And that gets to this card here. You really have to stop fighting, stop the battle within yourself. I finally had to admit that this is more than just somebody who just got the one that got away. I'd admit that was more than that. I had to finally get to a point where I became awakened on my spiritual journey, and I could not deny anymore that this was my divine counterpart. I always knew he was my person. That's the way I'd write it in my journal, my person. Even though, he's not married to me. That's because marriage is an old contract, right? So, but I always knew in my heart, and I always knew that's why I never got married to anybody else, because I already met my person and he didn't choose me. End of story. So I thought. But the interesting thing about it is, because it's divinely guided, this person's come back in my life multiple times, with none of which was my doing or my choosing, or his. So that's how you know it's more of a divine thing versus just grasping over like a regular karmic relationship or a soulmate person. So you have to go within. You're going to be forced eventually. I was forced eventually to become awakened. And actually, I didn't get the term twin flame until that happened. And it changed everything, because for the first time in my life, I realized, holy crap, I'm not alone. I thought, up until this time, I thought I was the only person who'd ever had a relationship like this. It was just too out there. It's too bizarre. The supernatural stuff is really the stuff nobody talks about on those other blogs. You have to be having more than just synchronicities with numbers and songs and stuff like that. Like, it's bigger than that. It's like so much bigger than that. It's like a sci-fi movie coming true in your life. So that eventually led to my spiritual awakening. And then once I was able to stop hiding this person and start accepting the fact that I still love this person, that's really when things shifted. And more importantly, it was when I realized that person loved me back. So I always just thought something was wrong with me and that it was one-sided and, blah, blah, blah. But when I realized that, no, actually, and it was before I got the term, and it was before my spiritual awakening that I finally saw that he actually loved me as much as I loved him. And that is what really triggered the awakening for me. But you have to do your work. So I spent the next year or two of diving into the spiritual literature. Again, I very quickly realized that all the blogs about twin flames pretty much all of them are wrong. They're pretty much all low vibration. Like, oh, here, meet what they're trying to teach you how to do is find your life partner. And that's interchanged with soulmate, because our society is raised on Disney movies, but that is not what this person is. So I very quickly realized that there was too much garbage about twin flames out there, and that was of no help. And it's just all very low vibe. So I found the spiritual community instead to be extremely helpful. Anything ascension based is really what's helped me. I've learned how to clean out, past life karma. I've learned how to clean out childhood trauma. I've learned how to clean up my inner child. I've learned how to really get so much more powerful in manifestation, which I had that all along. And that was one of the things that led me along the journey, was realizing, wow, man, I really manifest things really easily. So anyway, once you get through that, you have to go through the struggle. It is part of, there are some stages that are a little universal. They're just not the runner chaser dynamic. They're not the stuff that's being peddled out there is really a high level oversimplification of things. And I just don't think that they're good words. If you're more interested in learning about runner chaser, I'll have different videos about that on the channel you can check out. But what I find a better term to Google than that, because that's how you're going to find all the garbage blogs and the garbage YouTubers. What's better is your attachment style. Look into regular psychology attachment styles. And whether you're not a twin flame or not, that's going to help you. I think everyone should be doing the work of twin flames. I don't think twin flames are special. We're actually kind of cursed. This is a horrible, horrible situation. I've hated it. So it's better if I think everybody should be doing this work that we're doing, of going within, looking at ourselves, healing our childhood trauma. Everyone should be doing this work. But once you do all that work as a twin, then you can become more balanced. You're gonna tame the beast inside of you. All the desperation, all the woe is me, all the victim mentality. Oh, what's going on with their karmic partner, their husband, their wife. Oh, like all the stalking, all that garbage gets transmuted. And you come out the other side as a full, powerful, peaceful, centered, unified person within. Only once you've gone through and done all of that work will this even happen. And it might not ever happen. That other person has free will. They have their own journey. They have their own lack mentality. They have their own battles to fight. You have yours, they have theirs, and you both have to come to a point when you release and you surrender and you give up control, or your assumption that there is control. One of my favorite quotes is that life is the illusion of control. You have illusion of control over life. So once we become centered between our dark side, our light side, we integrate it. We're unification inside. That's why this YouTube channel is called that. You have to come into inner union first. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. And if you really look back, that's obvious. And I knew that right away. I knew that as soon as he broke up with me, I knew. I was like, oh, first of all, we were really, really young. And the way it went down was like the worst possible thing that could have happened to me at the time, which threw me into victim mentality. But what I knew very quickly, because of all that, it wouldn't have worked out, which is part of the reason I was able to like release him as a human and let him have his human experience. Even though I still was energetically longing for him, that never went away, but I trusted him that he was on his own path, and I knew that it wasn't going to work out. But now that we're adults and we've built different lives, and again, he's come back into my life many times. Now I've done all this really hard work over all these decades, a lot longer than probably some of the other people. But now this is the first time in my life where I actually think that this is possible with that person. And there's no guarantee. That's the part of the unification part. That's the strength and the power, is that, yeah, I feel that. Yes, it's in my knowing, but there's no guarantee. He still has free will. And that is what people don't understand when they read the words on the blogs about twin flames having unconditional love. They think it's unconditional love, Disney princess, Hollywood story love. That's not what it is. I love him so much that I want him to be happy. End of story. That doesn't mean that I'm the one making him happy. Right? There's a distinction there. I love him so much that all I want is for him to be happy. End of story. That's unconditional love. It's amazing. It's amazing to love someone that much. It's like loving a child. Or maybe your parents, if you had good parents. You know? It's different. It's different than what people think it is. It's not a Disney romance movie. You might get the happily ever after, but think about the happily ever after you're picturing. If you're struggling right now and you're still listening to this video, the happily ever after you're picturing is like an Instagram movie or an Hollywood movie or an Instagram post. It's not real. If you look behind the surface of any of those people, it's not puppies and rainbows. I can't tell you how many people that I know personally that are married and they're all over Instagram about how happy they are with their family and their spouse, but they're freaking cheating behind the scenes. There's so much garbage out there. It's a really low vibe. Have more respect for yourself. If this is what you're dreaming of, what is that really? Right? What is that really? Is it real? Is it there? It may or may not be. You know, married people struggle. I mean, just look at, anyway, I'll stop. I guess I just know too many married people. So you have to do the work, though. You're going to be forced to do it regardless. So if you're a twin flame, you'll know it. You won't need to ask. If you're asking if I'm a twin flame, or is this my twin flame, or is this my soulmate, then the answer is no. They're not yours. Everyone does have a twin flame, but they're not all born as a human in this world on Earth that you're going to meet. That's not how it works. So if that's what you think, you're, again, following the wrong gurus. That's just not how it works. Yes, everyone has a split soul, but like they've split the twin flame, but they're probably still up in the soul realm and not in this earth. And you might not meet them in this life if they are incarnated. So, I mean, the internet makes it a little easier, but again, if you're wondering if this person is, then you're not. Those of us who are really actually like gone through this whole thing, We know who that person is. I mean, I didn't need a blog to tell me. I didn't need to read a 10 signs they're your twin flame video. I knew as soon as I read the term, I knew instinctually, immediately what it meant. And I'd never heard the word before. And I knew immediately who it was. Like it was a program that was inside me already. I didn't need any of the blogs or any of the videos or any of the checklists or any of that stuff. I knew what it meant and who it was. Which is why I'm really harsh about reading all the blogs, because then a few days later, after I got the download, then I Googled it to see if it was an actual phrase, and that's how I found it. I didn't find it first. So that's another thing. I'll talk about that in another video of like how to know that you're wrong, that you're not that you're wrong, but how to know whether they're your twin flame or not. That's one of the things. Is usually those of us who actually have this situation happening in our life, it's that we struggled to understand it for so long before even finding a term for it. I mean, I was struggling with this for 26 years before I found the term twin flame. So anyway, the term itself doesn't really matter, honestly. I still struggle with this for all these years, so I don't need a word for it. But once I Googled it and found out it was a thing, and then saw all these other people having the experience, I was like, oh, it was very validating, which was great. But I already knew what it meant and who it was. So if you don't know if you're with somebody or not, you're probably not. There's a lot of other things. And I'll make that a different video of like what other relationships can be called. But I would drop the label either way, because it's not about this other person. It's about you growing, you valuing yourself, you realizing that you're not lacking anything. That's what the spiritual journey is all about, is I have everything inside me. I even have that person's energy. That person's energy is really what I love. I love being in the presence of that person because I feel like I'm home. And it's because they have the same vibration as me. That's why. And that's really, actually, if you think about that, it's very narcissistic, right? So I'm just trying to be with myself. Well, guess what? That energy is always with me anyway. I can tap into it now. I don't need to physically be sitting in the same room as him to feel that energy and to feel that love. I can just feel it. It's there. So that's the difference. If you're pining over, I need that one human with this name to come live with me in my house and do laundry with me and grocery shopping with me, that is not a twin flame relationship. You might eventually get that, but it's playing house is very low rent. It's very low vibe. It's a very basic situation. You can play house with anybody. Honestly, get a roommate. I mean, so a twin flame relationship is different. It's bigger. It's a higher purpose. I look at us as like the garbage compactor or the wall-E of relationships. It forces us to clean up all this battle, all the internal struggle with other people. I've had to heal relationships with everybody in my life. Normal people don't do that. Normal people stay the same. They don't change all that much from birth to death. But twin flames, we have to ascend. We are forced. I've been forced to clean up everything that I didn't like about myself. I've cleaned up. And now I come out of it very strong and very centered and very balanced, and no longer, yes, I still love this person. Yes, I still would love to have this like make-believe Disney princess movie ending, but it may never happen. And I'm fine with that. I'm happy. That's the cool thing, is I'm actually really, really happy by myself. That's it. That's the whole journey. So for those of you who are visual people, I thought this might help of twin flame myth busting, how to know whether it's your soulmate or your karmic or your twin flame. And again, I'll have more in-depth videos about that all over the channel. If you like this kind of stuff and this resonated with you, I would love to hear, especially from real twin flames. How did you find out that you were a twin flame, really? I really want to hear those kinds of stories, because I thought it was fascinating how I got the download, because I didn't know about the concept beforehand. I found it 26 years later, after already going through this for a very long time. So I'm really interested in hearing from other people that had that similar situation like I did. And then I want to really reiterate to those of you who are like binging all the soulmate, twin flame, karmic garbage online, really think about it. Is it this Disney princess make-believe story fairy tale that you believe and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to find my twin flame? No, it's not your ultimate life partner. I know the blogs make it sound like that, but that is not the point of the journey. And if that's what you're focusing on, you're actually going to make it take longer anyway. The quicker you drop that story, the faster you'll actually get this person. The irony. So just think about it. It's like you have to go through yourself if you're going to even get that outcome. So anyway, I hope this helps. Please let me know. Leave a comment about your story. I'd love to hear it. If this resonated, like, share, and subscribe. That just helps the channel, obviously. And put on the bell notifications if you're interested in new videos like this. That's it. I just wanted to myth bust the biggest twin flame soulmate myths, and hope this helps. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye.